Right now, somewhere in your mind, you're planning revenge. Maybe you're not calling it that. Maybe you're calling it getting back in shape. Maybe you're calling it moving on. Maybe you're sitting in the dark at 2 a.m. rehearsing a conversation that will never happen. A perfect speech where you say everything right and she finally gets it. Stop. That's not strength. That's still her controlling you. And until you understand what I'm about to show you, you will never, never be free. Let's be honest about what's actually happening inside you right now. You wake up in the morning and for exactly 2 seconds, just 2, you forget. Your mind is blank, peaceful, empty. Then it hits, like a blade to the chest. Her face, a memory. A smell that doesn't exist anymore. The side of the bed that's cold. Your phone with no notifications from the only person whose notifications you actually wanted. And just like that, your whole day is already in ruins. Before 8 a.m., before you've even stood up, you check her Instagram. Don't lie. You analyze every story. Who liked it? Who she's with? Whether she looks happy, whether she looks too happy. And you feel something burn in your chest when she does. Because deep down, some part of you thought the pain would be mutual. That she'd be suffering the way you're suffering. But she's not. Or at least it looks that way. And that's somehow worse than the breakup itself. So you start to fantasize. You imagine becoming so successful that she regrets it. You imagine her texting you months from now and you, the new, unbothered, shredded version of you, barely even remembering her name. You imagine revenge. Clean. Surgical. Devastating. Here's the problem with that fantasy. It's still built on her. Every push-up you do to make her regret it, you're doing for her. Every dollar you earn to prove a point, you're earning for her. Every night you go out to move on, you're moving toward her, just in the opposite direction. You're not free. You're on a leash. And the leash is resentment. The samurai had a word for men in your position. They called it fudoshin, a mind that is unmoved. Not a mind that is angry. Not a mind plotting. Not a mind that is wounded and performing confidence. Unmoved. You are not there yet, and that's okay. But you need to understand why indifference, real, cold, total indifference, will destroy her more thoroughly than any revenge you could plan. And more importantly, why it will save you. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire on earth. He dealt with plagues, wars, betrayal, sons who disappointed him, men who wanted him dead. And he wrote this, in private, remember, never meant to be published. He wrote this to himself. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Not power over her. Not power over whether she comes back. Not power over whether she's with someone else. Power over your mind. That's it. That's the whole game. This is the Stoic principle of the dichotomy of control. And I need you to burn this into your mind like a brand, because it is the most dangerous idea you will ever encounter. Dangerous to every weakness inside you. There are 2 categories of things in this universe. Things within your control, your thoughts, your response, your discipline, your training, your decisions. What you consume, what you build, who you become. Things outside your control, her feelings, her choices, her actions. Whether she misses you, whether she regrets it, what she tells her friends, who she talks to, whether the universe judges her. Most men, and I mean most, spend 80% of their mental energy on the second category. They're fighting a war they cannot win, on a battlefield that doesn't even exist, using weapons, obsession, resentment, fantasy that only wound themselves. Epictetus was a slave, a literal slave. His master once broke his leg for entertainment, and Epictetus, with a broken leg, owned by another man, said this, "He can break my leg. He cannot touch my will." Read that again. She can end the relationship. She can walk away. She can choose someone else. She can seem happier without you. She can do all of it. She cannot touch your will unless you hand it to her. And every time you check her profile, you hand it to her. Every time you send the 3 a.m. text, you hand it to her. Every time you plan revenge, you hand it to her. Now let's go deeper, because there's a second concept I need you to understand, one that is even harder to accept. Amor Fati, love of fate. Not tolerance of fate, not acceptance of fate. Love of fate. Nietzsche formalized the phrase, but the Stoics lived it. Marcus Aurelius returned to it again and again. The idea is brutal in its simplicity. Everything that happened to you, including this breakup, was supposed to happen. Not in some spiritual, mystical, everything happens for a reason way. Not the soft Instagram caption version of this idea. I mean it in the hard way. The way a warrior loves the scar that made him tougher. The way a swordsman loves the duel that exposed his weakness, because now he can fix it. This pain? This humiliation? This hollow feeling at 2 a.m.? This is your forge. You don't run from a forge. You don't plan revenge on a forge. You step into it, because on the other side of it is something that cannot be built any other way. In the world of anime, and some of you know exactly what I'm talking about, there is a recurring moment. The protagonist has been destroyed, emotionally, physically, utterly beaten. Everyone has written them off. And then something shifts. Not a power-up, not a lucky break, a realization. The realization that the thing they feared, the loss, the pain, the betrayal, was not the end. It was the beginning of a different kind of warrior. One who no longer fights to impress, no longer fights to prove, no longer fights for anyone's approval. One who fights because that is simply who they are now. That's what's available to you. Not revenge, not glowing up for her benefit, not a highlight reel engineered to make her regret. A transformation so complete that you become genuinely indifferent. Not the performed indifference of a man who still checks her stories. Real indifference. Cold as iron. That indifference, it will reach her. It always does. Because nothing wounds a person more than the realization that they no longer occupy space in your mind. Revenge says, you still matter enough for me to hurt you. Indifference says, you have become irrelevant. One of those is a gift. The other is a verdict. I'm not going to give you a meditation app recommendation. I'm not going to tell you to journal your feelings or give yourself grace. I'm going to give you 3 hard things. Things that require discipline. Things that will feel wrong at first. Things that work. Not tomorrow. Not after you check one more time. Today. Block her. Not because you hate her. Not as a dramatic gesture designed to make her wonder. Not to protect yourself emotionally, in the therapy speak sense of that phrase. Block her because you are in a war for your own mind, and you are currently leaving the enemy's gate wide open. The Spartans didn't leave their city walls undefended, and then wonder why they kept getting raided. Every time you see her life, curated, filtered, designed to look fine, you inject a dose of poison directly into your focus, into your self-image, into your momentum. You cannot build a new version of yourself while your eyes are still fixed on the old life. This is not weakness. Running back, lurking in silence, watching from the shadows, that is weakness. The Stoics called it slavery to external impressions. You are letting her image govern your inner state. You are allowing pixels on a screen to determine whether you feel like a man today. That ends now. Block, delete, archive, whatever, every entry point. And when the urge comes, and it will come like a wave, like an ambush, you recognize it for what it is. Epictetus called it the first movement, the automatic emotional pull that happens before you choose. You cannot stop the first movement, but you are not your first movement. You are what you do after it. Let the urge arise. Let it peak. Let it pass. Don't feed it. This is not suppression. This is discipline. There's a difference. Suppression is pushing the feeling underground where it festers. Discipline is acknowledging the feeling and refusing to act from it. A samurai who has mastered his blade doesn't fight every drunk who insults him at the tavern, not because he's afraid, because he's operating from a different level. The insult doesn't reach him the way it used to. That's what you're building. A new level. You can't build it while you're still staring at her profile. Here's what actually happened in that relationship, whether you want to admit it or not. You gave away too much of yourself. Not necessarily at first, maybe not even intentionally, but over time, You shaped yourself around her. Your schedule, your social circle, your sense of self-worth, maybe your ambitions, maybe your boundaries. This is not a character flaw. It's human. It's what attachment does. But now the attachment is gone. And you're standing in a room where all the furniture was hers, and you realize, I have nothing that is purely mine. That is both the wound and the medicine. Because now, with nothing to lose, with no one to perform for, you can build something real. Marcus Aurelius said, confine yourself to the present. Not the past, not the imagined future where she regrets everything. The present, this moment. What can you do right now? Here's your assignment. It is not motivational, it is operational. Pick one domain of your life that you abandoned during the relationship. One thing that was yours. A physical practice, a creative skill, a professional ambition, a discipline that you let decay because you were prioritizing the relationship. Just one. Recommit to it. Today. Completely. Not as revenge, not as a glow-up strategy. As an act of self-reclamation. You are not doing it so she'll see it. You're doing it because it was yours, and you let someone else's presence be an excuse to shrink. Never again. Think of Miyamoto Musashi, the greatest swordsman in Japanese history. After his most devastating defeat, not in battle, but in the collapse of his personal life and the relationships that defined him, he went into isolation. He didn't tweet about his pain. He didn't perform his grief for an audience. He trained, for years. And when he emerged, he had written the Book of 5 Rings, a document of such clarity and depth that it is still studied by strategists, fighters, and business leaders 5 centuries later. The isolation was not his punishment. It was his laboratory. Your solitude right now is not your prison. It is your laboratory. Use it. Build the foundation, one brick at a time. Ruthlessly prioritize what is yours, your body, your mind, your craft, your mission. Not for her, not for anyone watching. For the man you are in the process of becoming. He deserves the kingdom you're going to build. This is the hardest one, because it requires you to kill a fantasy. The revenge fantasy, whatever form yours takes, needs to die. Not because revenge is immoral, not because being the bigger person is the goal. Kill it because it is functionally useless to you, because it keeps your focus on her, and you cannot expand into your own future while you are psychically tethered to her present. Here's how you redefine victory. Victory is not. She sees you thriving and regrets it. Victory is, you are thriving, and the question of whether she sees it or regrets it is so far from your mind that it doesn't even occur to you. That's the shift. That's the actual win. The Stoic concept here is eudaimonia, often translated as happiness, but more accurately, flourishing. Living in full alignment with your highest nature, not performing flourishing, actually flourishing. There's a man who goes to the gym so she'll see his photos and regret. And there's a man who goes to the gym because he is committed to being physically excellent. The first man will quit when she stops checking his stories. The second man never stops. Which man do you want to be? One of them is building on sand. The other is building on stone. Redefine victory as becoming the man you would have respected before you ever met her. The version of you that exists entirely on his own terms, with his own standards, his own code, his own sense of honor that doesn't require anyone's validation to remain intact. In anime, this is the warrior who has shed his ego-driven fighting. He doesn't fight to win anymore. He doesn't fight to prove. He fights because he is a fighter. It is in his nature, his bones, his code. And because of that, he is nearly undefeatable. Because you cannot break a man who is fighting for something deeper than outcome. Decide what that deeper thing is. Your answer to that question is the foundation of the man you are becoming. Let me tell you what indifference actually is. Because most men misunderstand it. Indifference is not numbness. It's not shutting off. It's not becoming cold and hollow and unreachable. Real indifference is the natural result of a man who has become so invested in his own becoming that the opinions, actions, and choices of others simply cannot compete for his attention. She doesn't occupy your mind because your mind is full of purpose, full of discipline, full of the work of becoming something worthy. That's the goal. And here's the uncomfortable truth about that state. When you reach it, genuinely reach it, something happens. People feel it. She feels it. The world feels it. Because there is nothing more magnetic on earth than a man who is completely, genuinely, unperformedly himself. A man who needs nothing from you. Who is not bitter, not broken, not plotting, just forging. That man doesn't need to post a comeback. He doesn't need closure. He doesn't need the last word. He is the last word. You are standing at the beginning of a forge. The fire is real. The pain is real. The emptiness is real. Step into it anyway. Not because it will be easy, not because the pain disappears quickly. Not because you won't have bad nights, weak moments, instants where you reach for your phone at midnight and have to stop yourself. Step into it because on the other side of this forge is a version of you that cannot be manufactured any other way. The Stoics called it virtus, excellence, strength, the fullest expression of what a man is capable of being, not given, not inherited, not gifted by circumstance, earned, tested, forged. The katana does not resent the fire that shaped it. It became sharp because of the fire. You are the katana. Now, go be forged.